great basketball.
Defender to the master, Jayson Tatum.
Be covering pre and post game back on this channel.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back into another episode of the Celtics Talk Weekly podcast. I am your host, Rob Atayan. Joined with me is my co-host, Justin Lowe. No Ian Angelo today. However, the show goes on. Guys, before I get started, I'd like to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of today's podcast, Sharps. Sharp is a social media platform for all of your betting needs. You can hook up and link your daily fantasy or your DraftKings or sportsbook account, FanDuel, whatever your preference is, they can link it up. You can track your bets, follow your friends, follow influencers, whoever it may be. You can follow me and or Justin over there at Sharps. See what we're betting. Use code ROBC078 as your promo code when you link and create your account. Guys, we love them over at Sharps. It's a lot of fun. Go check it out. Link will be in the description down below for all that. But let's get right into the episode, Justin, right? Celtics coming off of what I would consider a phenomenal week, right? Some may look at it differently. I'm very happy. Boston Celtics were on the road 2 out of the 3 games. They traveled to Washington on Tuesday, March 28th. They dropped that one in a pretty ugly fashion after winning 3 straight 130 to 111. Kind of got blown out big time. No Bradley Beal, no Kyle Kuzma in that one. Celtics were absolutely victims of the trap game. That was a trap game because following that, March 30th was a road game against Milwaukee, was claimed the biggest game of the season. It felt like a playoff game. The Celtics went in there, blew them out 140 to 99. Celtics fell only a game and a half back from that first seed with that win. However, it is now out of reach. Jayson Tatum led all scorers. He had 40 points, 8 rebounds in that game. He shot 8 of 10 from beyond the arc. He was phenomenal at all levels in that game against Milwaukee. Then the Celtics flew back home, didn't fly in until 1:30 in the afternoon. Tip-off was at 7:30 against the Utah Jazz. The Celtics handled business in what was another trap game in that doubleheader back-to-back. They won 122 to 114. Getting their 54th win of the season. Jayson Tatum, again, was back at it, 39 points. He shot very efficient, an efficient 5 of 8 from beyond the arc. We know he's been struggling in that department. And how about Blake Griffin, right? 12 rebounds with no Rob, no Wow. He was great in that matchup against Utah. Celtics actually, when time of recording this, play Philly. Justin, that's my cue to send it over to you.
Yeah, Celtics play the Sixers tonight being Tuesday night at 8 o'clock p.m. on the road, their final road game of the season. Celtics have a 3-0 lead. Celtics magic number to clinch the number 2 seed is 1, whether that be a Celtics win or a Philly loss. That could come tonight. We will see. Then tomorrow night, Wednesday night, a second night of a back-to-back for the Celtics as they head home to play Game 1 of 2 against the Toronto Raptors. Game 2 will be Friday, 7:30 p.m. on the Garden Parquet. And the Celtics on Easter Sunday, 1 p.m. will close out their season against a potential first-round opponent in the Atlanta Hawks. A week from today, Rob, the Celtics should know who they're playing. The play-in tournament starts Tuesday, April 12th. So the Celtics' next podcast, a playoff preview, could be in store for us. But for now, Celtics look to close out the final 4 games of the regular season. I say go out tonight, beat Philly, and then rest the guys. Give them the next few days off to get their legs, I guess, warm and rested up for playoff basketball. It's finally that time of year. But huge stretch for the Celtics, and it's funny because Atlanta and Toronto both potential first-round opponents if they were to come out of the play-in tournament, as well as a second-round opponent against the Philadelphia 76ers. So although there will be rest, it'll be key for guys like Sam Hauser, Derek White, Malcolm Brogdon, Grant Williams, guys who are going to be playing off the bench to get their legs warmed up for the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. 4 games left. I've seen what I've needed to see so far. Obviously, we got that Philly game tonight on TNT. I'd love to go out there and win that. No Rob. Jaylen Brown is questionable, but I believe he should be playing. No Pritchard, no Gallo. Obviously, a little banged up. No excuses, though. Yeah. I would love to see the C's go in there and handle business against Philly. However, we're not going to really get into, like Justin said, the playoff preview aspect. That will be in its own separate podcast next week. Once we know who we're playing, what to expect, where the bracket really falls, who we're seeing in the second round, who we expect to see in that third round if we continue to advance. Let's just get into something I think needs to be addressed, which is that Milwaukee game.
Yeah.
We've talked about it on Instagram Live, on the post-game shows, right? We have talked about this, but I think there's an aspect to this in which we haven't really gotten the chance to properly sit down and address over the course of, with really no time limit, right? Because the post-game shows, you have so much you want to touch base on. We went on IG Live, but that was just a quick say what's up to everybody, get it off their shoulders, talk about the game. Celtics dominated Milwaukee. If for some reason you didn't watch the game, it was essentially over before it started. It was, in my opinion, no doubt the best game of the season. And it kind of contributed, right? It fed off of multiple things, right? I'm going to put that back up here for us, right? You can see
Yeah.
here, Celtics last 5 wins have been by an average margin of 27 total points. Obviously, we took down the one-seeded Bucks by 41. Tatum and Brown have been doing their thing. Tatum finally back, 35.4 points over the last 5. Brown only at 25.6, but he had a phenomenal last 10 prior to that 5. He was at like 34.5 over those past 10. So Brown has been phenomenal despite the little drop, but I mean, he only had like 12 points the other night against Utah in that second night of a back-to-back. So that kind of is like is holding him down. But Justin, Bucks.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Milwaukee entering this game against the Boston Celtics, the hands down best team in the league. 24-3 record over 27 games since the All-Star break, right around that area. They've been healthy. They rested guys in that first night of the back-to-back against Indiana. Drew Holiday, he got buckets. Giannis got buckets, right? No doubt about how great Milwaukee was entering this game. Boston, a little shaky. They got back into it. They dropped that trap game against Washington. However, despite that, they were blowing out. They blew out the Kings on the road, the Pacers at home, and then the Spurs at home. Some, good
Without
warm-up
Tatum.
games, right? Right, without Tatum. So Bucks favorited 2.5 point favorites. They're at their home court. Celtics went in there and essentially annihilated them. Like I said, after the first quarter, it was like 24-24. I want to say in that first. We were up by 8 at the end of 1, and then the second quarter rolled around up by 7 entering half, and then it got up to the margin was as big as 49. It was never close. It was officiated like a playoff game. The Celtics went in there and dominated, right? My question to you is, you listen to these talking heads and they don't want to talk about what this means for Boston, right? For Milwaukee, it was just a wash. They were tired and playing a lot of games. Boston got the best of them. That's not the case, Justin. What did this win do for the Boston Celtics?
This showed the league. This didn't just show the league. This didn't put Boston back into the race of the first seed. This wasn't for the tiebreaker. This was to come in and give Milwaukee the business. This was to come in and say, we don't care what the implications are. We don't care that we are the road team. You are healthy. We are healthy. We're going to duke it out on the court, and may the best team win. Celtics went out there and said, we can come into this place and do essentially what we want. Game 6 last year, Celtics did what they wanted against the defending champions on their home court. Jason Tatum, a legacy game, one of the greatest playoff performances ever. Ever. Not but ever. And then what they did in Milwaukee a couple of months ago, if you want to talk excuses, Milwaukee, why did it take an overtime and 40 points from Drew Holiday to take down a Celtics team without Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, and 11.5 minutes of Robert Williams on the bench? What happened at Christmas on national TV? 21-point loss. And then at no point, and you said this, Rob, in the postgame show, should one of these teams be 41 points worse than one another?
Yeah.
41 points. It was at one point 49. right? Like the Celtics have been getting those 20-point leads pretty frequently in the last month. It's can the Celtics sustain that 20-point lead and build it? So when the lead got to 20 in the first half, I think we were both kind of sitting there like, okay, like Milwaukee is due for their run, okay. And then it went to 30. And it's like, huh. And then 35, then 40, and then 49. It just
Yeah.
never stopped, Rob. And that is an issue that
Yeah.
nobody talks about.
So I completely agree. It was a message to the NBA. It was, listen, you guys might think this about us, but no, don't get it twisted. We are still the team to beat. Last year, what did we say about Milwaukee? Until we beat the Bucks, they are the defending Eastern Conference champions. They had done it. They had won the finals. They had beaten the Suns. We gave them their respect. I want my damn respect for the C's, right? Where is
Right.
our respect? The Boston Celtics have been phenomenal through 79 games. They've had a stretch of maybe 4 games in March that they were bad. They went on that 3-game losing streak, right? But what this Bucks game was, it was a reminder. It was saying we are here. And not only just that, it sent a message to the Bucks that we essentially said, we don't give a damn if we're on the road, if we're at home, if we're in neutral sites. We are going to go into your arena, to our arena, wherever it may be, and we're going to give you our best game. That's a message that Milwaukee tried to send to us last year, but they didn't do it in a fashion in which the Celtics felt threatened by. They did it in, oh, we're going to, we're fine. We're going to take the 3 seed, right? Well, and we'll beat you. That's what they try to do. Right? Obviously, game 7 back in Boston. The Celtics, Milwaukee has never proven to Boston that they can beat us at our place, right? Let's even go back to last year. November 12th, 2021, the Celtics, who were struggling in November and December, beat Milwaukee at their home court December 13th. We beat Milwaukee at our home court. We dropped the next 2 at their place. Right. And then obviously Christmas this year, we beat them at our home court again. That's the regular season matchup.
That Christmas game last year, we were up by like 25 points and we blew it. We absolutely blew
but
it.
what this does, I think, right, and if I can sum it up to the best of my ability, it says to Milwaukee, we can beat you at your place. We're not scared that you're the 1 seed. You guys did all that work. You put all that work in 24-3 just for us to blow you out by 40. And I think that what NBA analysts aren't really looking at is that sends a message. Boston this year, and honestly last postseason, Milwaukee had a trip to the NBA Finals, potentially back-to-back rings at the palm of their hands. And Jason Tatum went into their place and dominated. Like you said, 46 points. It was a phenomenal performance, one of really the all-time greats. The Celtics have sent messages to the Bucks this season, I think. And I think that's what people aren't realizing. And it's not a message in which we're tanking it or we're dodging. It's a message that we're beating you. We are beating you. You have been the best team in basketball and we're beating you. And I think that is beyond important. That is, the Celtics could lose these next 4 games for all I care. And the message has been sent to the East and to the league that the Celtics are here, they're coming, and we're not afraid to go into your place and do it.
So here's my thing is everybody so how Boston's so inconsistent. I get it. Celtics have played down to their competition as of late for sure. But are they really inconsistent? They're consistently good against the some of the best NBA teams in the entire league. They are now a combined, I believe it is 11-2, 10-2 against the top 3 seeded teams in both conferences. They're combined 5-1 as we speak right now against Philly and Milwaukee. That one loss came on the road in overtime lost by 6. And then out west, if you want to look at potential finals opponents, 2-0 against the Grizzlies, 2-0 against Sacramento, 1-1 against Denver. I mean, these Celtics are rocking and rolling against the teams that they're almost guaranteed to meet in the NBA playoffs. Nobody, and look, I get it. Magic, they're on the come up. I understand that. The Oklahoma City, they're on the come up. Nobody's going to be talking about, say the Celtics go out, Eastern Conference Finals. We're not going to be talking about losing games to the Orlando Magic. That might have cost us the one seed, but you last year, Rob, when we were in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals, were we thinking about that loss against the Detroit Pistons before the All-Star break that ended our
No.
9-game win? Exactly. That's not the case. Celtics are going into buildings away. They're home. They're showing up against the good teams, the teams that they're going to meet on every level. They're going to need to get to the NBA Finals, and that's what they're doing. They're going. I mean, a 41-point win against the Bucks, a 21-point win against the Bucks, and a 6-point loss in overtime against the Bucks. What more do the Celtics need to prove in a 4-3 victory in the conference finals or semifinals last year? What more?
Yeah, I know, and it's like I do think championship teams are consistently good, but I mean, I'm not worried about a loss to Orlando in December and dropping one to Washington when we've been consistently dominant against the good teams. That doesn't worry me. If we were shaky all season to the bad teams and to the good teams, that's a team for me that screams no championship DNA. But I think the Celtics, especially when you're coming off of a finals loss, it is tough for all 82 games to lock in against the teams that you feel like that are pointless, right? In reality, if you let your guard down against any NBA team, they're gonna give you the business, especially when you're the Boston Celtics, right? Teams circle you. Teams like the Rockets, teams like the Magic have been balling. I'd hate to throw them in that category. A team like the Pistons and these struggling teams, Spurs, right? They look to perform against those top dogs.
Right.
Those are the games that they want to go in. They want to look good, maybe lose the game by 4 or 5 points. That's a huge success to them. So if you let your guard down, they're absolutely going to pounce. They would love to beat the Celtics. That's a highlight of their season.
Right.
It's a game they can go back, look at film, see what they did well. So I'm okay with that. The Celtics let their guard down against the bad teams in which they feel is their unnecessary matchups. What does that do? Unfortunately, it makes you drop seeding, right? Now you're playing from the 2 seed. You're playing back. It makes your road a little bit difficult, right? You got to go on the road in a game 7, if there's a game 7, but we've done that. We have proven that we can do that. And these guys know that. So I really do think the Boston Celtics have proven time and time again that they deserve to get their respect in the Eastern Conference as the top dogs.
I mean, think of it. Boston closed out Brooklyn in Brooklyn, closed out Miami in Miami, down 3-2, defending champs home, came back, won that game, won game 1 on the road against the Golden State Warriors. What more does Boston have to prove? What more?
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong. Game 7 in Boston was so sweet against Milwaukee. The first 2 games of the Brooklyn series in Boston to get the series starting was so sweet. Yep. But if this team wants to win, it doesn't matter what shade of green the fans are wearing in the arena. They're going to go out and win. They're going to go out and play hard. I'm going to say it. It sucks to see the Celtics do so good yet get no credit, yet these teams that are doing not so good are getting more credit than Boston. And maybe it's just because Boston's a big media market. There's more criticism there. They have really talented players. I mean, look at our bench, Rob. Our bench, first 5 guys off the bench are starters on any other NBA team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's funny because you say that, and I remember I was sitting down and watching the broadcast. Between the Bucks and the Celtics, and they were talking about the Bucks depth. Remember, I'm thinking like, all 5 of these guys coming off the Bucks bench could be starters in the NBA. I just remember saying like, okay, they got Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis, absolutely, right? He's a guy that could have a starting job in a lot of other teams. Then I was really looking down. I was like,
Goran
who else do they have? Like, they said Dragic and Jay Crowder, and I was thinking to myself, like, are you serious? You want to talk about depth? Look at Boston. They got Malcolm Brogdon. They got Grant Williams, Robert Williams coming off their bench.
Dude,
And
we have Blake
I feel,
Griffin not playing minutes in games. Like, that's still crazy. Like,
yeah, and I think that there's levels to it, and I do think the Celtics have been discredited recently
yeah.
because of, really, if you look at the schedule, a 3-game bad stretch. They dropped 3 games in a row, in which they could have won, and I'm not worried about that. And that's something I've noticed. And something else I think we've noticed that we kind of have to talk about and address in the podcast is Jaylen Brown and his comments, his remarks, what it means. So Jaylen Brown, obviously, he's got that big extension coming up, that all NBA money that he could get. If he makes all NBA, he can sign a 5-year, $290 million contract. If he were to miss all NBA, it drops down to 5-year, $250 million. In which there's a lot of uncertainty about Jaylen Brown because of that interview that the Ringer put out. He essentially, if you hadn't listened to it, they asked him, they said, Jaylen, what does the future hold for you? And to sum it up, he essentially said, I don't know what the future holds for me. I want to be where I'm wanted. It's not up to me. To me, how I took that is he's saying, I'm willing to stay in Boston if I'm treated properly. However, if I'm not, who knows? Who knows what's next if I'm not treated properly? Which I think is fair to say. He also opened up a conversation of debate about toxic fan behavior. And I think both of those things
They're valid.
were acceptable to me.
Yeah.
I think if you want fix, if you want change, you start conversation. And I think what Jaylen Brown did with his remarks of the toxic fan culture with Boston is he opened up room for conversation, for growth with Celtics fans. I think, honestly, if he kept it to himself, left, and then said it, that would be more worrisome if he never said anything. But it was apparent. It was apparent. And I think what JB did was he said, hey, guys, this is where I'm at, right? I like it here. And, I'm focused on winning a championship this year. However, these are things we have to address.
Right.
Is that how you interpret it? Or maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think it's, and you know what, though? I think it's going back to my point I made earlier of Boston just being such a big media outlet, and it feels as if anytime the Celtics have an up, Jaylen Brown and or Jason Tatum get dragged into this like horrible persona of they don't want to play together. One wants to leave. One wants, and it's just it's getting ridiculous. There's now reports saying that how Ime Udoka is on the coaching radar over in Houston, and they're saying how Jaylen Brown is now on Houston's radar as well, and that would all make sense, like this perfect like pyramid scheme. I don't know. I think it's just distractions. I think it's rumors. I think it's all like if it doesn't come from Jaylen Brown, people. Okay, here's the thing though, Rob. People are going to misinterpret everything and anything. It doesn't matter if it's sport, politics, or life. Like that's gonna happen.
And I think that with this, I think this is a designated attack by Jaylen Brown. You think it's a coincidence that all these Jaylen Brown interviews, there's one today that came out with Shams, they're all coming out right around all NBA time. Listen, JB's a smart guy, and JB knows if he's talked about in the media, people are going to go looking and back in Jaylen Brown's name, and you're going to see his name. He's going to get talked about. And who's voting for all NBA? The media guys, right? These guys that are talking about Jaylen Brown and how he's been disrespected and that there's no respect and that he's always kind of been underlooked. They're going to remember that when they're signing that checklist on who to vote for all NBA. Well, Jaylen Brown, he's really deserved it. He hasn't gotten the recognition he deserves, right? JB, he knows what he's doing. He's a smart guy. I want to talk about that actually. The thing today, Jaylen Brown quotes, I get why people try to break up duos because so far, Jason and I have been incredibly successful. At this point, we're part of each other's destiny. They know that. Right? Like, let's not get things twisted. Those two know how special things can get with them.
Right.
Their ceiling is, it's essentially, you might call me crazy for saying this, but it is Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen 2.0. Not that they're going to win 6 rings, right? In 6 tries, because they can't. They're already 0-1.
Ooh.
But what I mean by that, right? Brutally, they're already 0-1, right? But what I mean by Pippen and Jordan 2.0 is that they're two elite offensive wings who are also super talented on defense. They're carbon copies. They're modern day Pippen and Jordan. They are. Obviously, Tatum's not as great as Michael Jordan, but I think the two of them ceiling is that. In terms of they can dominate this league and win multiple championships together. And I think they know that. I think the two of them have conversations like that in their ceilings. And quite frankly, it's none of our business.
Mm.
It's none of our business. Those two's relationship, let's leave it to them. Let's have Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum do this in silence. And that's where I think I'm at with the Jaylen Brown situation.
There's so much that we don't see or we don't hear. And the Celtics have been putting out these like mini docu-series on their YouTube. And
Yeah, I
like
think they're great watches.
they are great watches, but there's so much that we don't see and we don't know about. And then like, you look back at that Warriors game and it's like, oh my God, they were filming this, they were talking about this, and like we had no clue. And then like, months later we get the documentary and that they're talking about stuff. And
Yeah.
I just it sucks. It sucks to be winning, and it sucks to be successful. Jaylen Brown is 100% right. Other people want to break us up because every time they say we can't work together, we go out and we accomplish something new together. And that to me, I think JB and Jalen or JB and JT are on the same page, both on and off the
Yeah,
court, and
absolutely.
it's showing. Because if they weren't, I'm telling you right now, Celtics wouldn't have 50 wins in the second seed and and then with
Yeah.
aspirations of going back there, Jaylen Brown would have been traded essentially. Wouldn't you say, if things weren't smooth
Yeah.
with JB and JT?
Yeah. I think that if the Celtics didn't want Jaylen Brown here, they would have absolutely made the trade for Kevin Durant.
Mm,
Because essentially, if you throw Kevin Durant on this team, they're the odds on favorite to win the championship still.
mm,
So I think if Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, if they didn't and weren't talking,
right.
Brown would have been moved last
Oh,
offseason after the finals loss. And I think that is like no question, no debate.
and he
I
would have
just
been
like I said, I
okay.
think yeah, and I think Jaylen Brown needs to understand. Something I think Jaylen Brown understands is that his name needs to be up there in the media in the talking heads if he wants to make All NBA. He's a smart guy, and I think that's what he did. But Justin, let's get into the All NBA teams,
Yeah,
right? Short podcast today,
yeah.
but we got a great segment to finish it off. If we were to vote, if we were voting for All NBA, where would our votes be? I'll start us off. I'll say my first team. Then I want you to jump to your first team so you can explain
Yep.
as to why each person gets it. You know the drill. So let's hop into mine. This is my All NBA first team selection. At the first point guard, I got Donovan Mitchell. Donovan has been, in my opinion, the most consistent guard all year. And something that I take into account when I'm voting for All NBA is winning. What's the win? Have you been contributing to winning basketball? I think that is super important. Donovan Mitchell, 28 points per game. He's shooting 48% from the floor, 38% from beyond the arc, almost 90% from the free throw line, giving him four rebounds, right around 5 assists. He's been great. And the Cavs have been made their first time making the playoffs since LeBron James has without LeBron James since like what 1990 something. It's been a long time. 97, I think. Second guard spot, I got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think what Shai has been doing this year is phenomenal, averaging 31 and a half points per game, right around 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 51% from the floor, which is extremely efficient for a point guard. 35% from beyond the arc, 90% from field goal or from free throw. Shai's been great. Obviously, Jason Tatum, best player on the best team. He's averaging 30 points. His assist numbers are up. Rebound number has been incredible. JT absolutely deserves that forward spot. The other forward, these last three are pretty self-explanatory, but the other forward spot, Giannis, it's Giannis. He's the Greek freak, averaging 30 points. Milwaukee's got that first seed right now. He's been phenomenal all season long, in which a Bucks team that has been unhealthy, up and down health season-wise. is that center spot, which I think it can go one of two ways. You can go Jokic or you can go Embiid. I probably think it will be, whoever wins the MVP will get it. Jokic, I think, has just been all around better than Embiid. I think Embiid scoring more. Jokic really only right around 25 points per game, if I'm not mistaken. I am correct, right exactly at 25. Great passer. Denver has been on top of the Western Conference. I think that can't get underlooked. Jokic is my first team All-NBA center. Justin, let me hear your All-NBA first team.
Yeah, my All NBA first team is actually very similar to yours, except I put Luka Doncic there, and I think what Luka has done this season is astronomical. I think it's absolutely impressive. I think what may falter for him is his inconsistency since the trade deadline. I'm not going to go sit here and pull Kyrie Irving's name into this because I don't think it is all Kyrie. I think it's very hard to pair a play style to play styles like Kyrie and Doncic together. But Luka Doncic, I think what he's done this year has been truly special. It just uh, thing is like you said though, Rob, it hasn't transpired to winning, and that's where it was hard for me to make the switch between Donovan and Doncic. But at the same time, what Luka did. Uh, a majority of the season was special. And then Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I mean, come on, this guy has been consistently good. Their first All-Star, uh, actually their first stud. I want to say stud because they've had some All-Stars, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander leading OKC back into the playoffs. They have a play-in spot right now with still a chance to do some damage in the final 5 games. Jason Tatum, I mean, no bias whatsoever. I think between Tatum, Giannis, and Jokic, it's undoubtedly these guys are all first team. I think it'd be very, very hard if you slotted Jason Tatum as a guard and then put Embiid as a forward because that first team would look absolutely lethal. But what Giannis has done all season long as well is truly spectacular. Nikola Jokic, you know the deal with him. I mean, one of the best all around centers I think I've ever seen in the sport of basketball.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I do think Embiid has him defensively and physicality, but scoring, passing, this guy has it all. Unbelievable. Nikola Jokic. And you know what's weird? He just keeps getting better. He just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah.
Just when you thought Jokic, like you couldn't get any better, he keeps getting better. And that's my first team All NBA. I think both of us. I do know we have different one guard spots, but I think we both are on the fairly same page for our first team. I think it's pretty undoubtedly for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you take a look at my second team, I got Luca there. And reason being, Luca first half of the year was phenomenal.
Mm.
Luca's second half of the year hasn't been the best. And this is a problem with Luka Doncic I have always talked about. And really, before everyone else, my problem with Luka is you can't pair him with great talent. He requires the ball in his hands so much. He has been terrible on defense this season, a huge liability. Um, and yeah, that's why I think it slots him down to second. I think what Donovan Mitchell has been doing with Cleveland, first year there, leading that team to the playoffs is I think much more impressive than what Luka's done. That being said, I still think Luka has had a great year, and that's why he notched his All NBA second team spot. In my second guard spot, I'm going to throw in James Harden. I think what James Harden has done has been undoubtedly phenomenal. He has been such a great point guard with Embiid. He runs that pick and roll with Joel so efficiently, so much success there. They're the 3 seed in the East. I think James Harden having his best year since that MVP year. I think he should have been an all-star. I'm giving James Harden that all-NBA second team nod. That first forward spot for the all-NBA second team, I'm going JB. Jaylen Brown is one of 4 players averaging over 26.5 points, 7.5 rebounds, and shooting over 49.5%. Those other names, include Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, and Luka Doncic. So he has been unbelievable. He gets and he's phenomenal on defense. I think that's a plus. He's been the number 2 guy on, like I said, probably the best team in the league all year. I'm giving him that forward spot. Second forward spot, Julius Randle. Julius Randle had a dominating from games 35 to 65, a 30-game stretch at which he was truly, truly unbelievable. I really do believe he has deserved that All-NBA second team. He's led the Knicks to that 5 seed. He has really, really made a great case for himself for All-NBA. And he, after having a struggling down year last year, he has been nothing short of amazing this year. And then obviously Joel Embiid, I wouldn't be shocked if he made first team. But if it's not Embiid on first team, or if it's not Jokic on first team, it's going to be Embiid. And if it's not Jokic on second team, it will be Embiid there. So, yeah. All right, so let's jump into my third team here. This is where I think it gets interesting. I got Ja Morant at point guard. Morant, it was between Ja Morant and De'Aaron Fox. I broke down the numbers. I think Memphis kind of needs to have an All-NBA player, and it's not going to be Jaren Jackson. Obviously, Ja been a little bit shaky recently since getting back. He's still been great. I think Memphis is still that 2 seed out west. You have to give Ja his respect. I think offensively, what he can do with the ball is amazing, and he's been great this year. Damian Lillard would be higher if the Blazers were better. It's just it hasn't translated to winning basketball. He's been so dominant scoring the ball this year. His 3-point shot has been amazing, and he really has been great. It's just I don't think it's enough to get that second team. Third team, though, I'm still giving it to Dame. All right, let's move on to the forward spot now. I got Jimmy Butler, believe it or not. The Heat have had a really shaky year, but I think Jimmy Butler has managed to keep them afloat and alive in the little play-in playoff scenario in what is a very competitive Eastern Conference. So I give a lot of props to Jimmy Butler. He's averaging right around 22 points per game. He's been phenomenal on defense, shooting 53% from the floor, 35% from beyond the arc, which is pretty damn good for him, 85 from the line. He's getting 6 rebounds, dishing 5 assists while stealing right around 2 steals a game. He has been nothing short of amazing. And then Anthony Davis, welcome back to the All-NBA spot. All-NBA third team for AD. I think Anthony Davis has been awesome post All-Star break. He's been healthy. He's been hooping. He is translating to winning basketball. Obviously, those moves LA has made has played a big factor. But when LeBron went down and AD had to step up, he did just that. He is looking finally like the best player on that Lakers team like he's supposed to. AD has looked phenomenal this season, really in the second half of the year, which is why I give him that forward spot in the All-NBA. And then rounding it off is Domantas Sabonis. He gets that last center spot. I really don't think there's another guy that deserves it as a big man. I mean, if you look down the list, you could like maybe give it to, I think, like Jaren Jackson Jr. or a guy like that. But I just think Sabonis, the Kings need a guy, and if it's not going to be Fox, it's going to be Sabonis. Sabonis has been great at all levels this season. And so, yeah, let's send it off to Justin for the second team.
My all second team, I have Donovan Mitchell. I have Steph Curry. Curry's been in and out of the lineup, but when he is in the lineup, I just think he's just astronomically good. Jaylen Brown, I think it's just self-explanatory. Jaylen Brown has just been on an elite, consistent level, Rob. I mean, mask, no mask, Jaylen Brown, all-star, got snubbed last year. You took that personal. This year, I just think he's on a whole other level. He's going for that huge max contract extension. I think he undoubtedly makes at least the second team. Lauri Markkanen, I went with Lauri Markkanen. Julius Randle was a good underrated pick. I went Lauri Markkanen. I just love what he's been able to do in Utah. I think he's flourished very, very well. We kind of question what's going on with Markkanen after the opportunity in Chicago didn't work out. Didn't really work out well. That crazy in Cleveland. He went to Utah. He's sort of the guy out in Utah, all-star this year. Just phenomenal year for Lauri Markkanen. And then Joel Embiid. This one is just so clear to me. If you couldn't put him in as a forward, which rightfully so, he's not a forward. He is a center, but you can't do 2 centers to put on first team. So Joel Embiid rounding off my second team for me. And then my third team, De'Aaron Fox. it says Mitchell, but it is De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox has had an unbelievable year for the Beam team, the Sacramento Kings. As you can tell, I have the bonus down there as my center. And then Kawhi Leonard. Look, it's like people are going to say Anthony Davis. People are going to say Kawhi Leonard. Neither of them have been consistently healthy, but I do think Kawhi Leonard, when he has been healthy, he has been phenomenal. And then Kevin Durant, he's 25-2 in his last 27 games played. Kevin Durant has been awesome, whether he's on the Nets, whether he's on the Phoenix Suns. It's just whether or not I think he rolled his ankle in a pregame shoot around, and he was out for like 3 weeks, which sucks. But
Yeah.
that does kind of put him on that third list. Some people take him out. I do think he is. He makes my third team. And then Damian Lillard, dude dropped 71 points this year. He's been huge for Portland. It's we continue to say his loyalty, and we continue to ask why Portland is doing him so dirty. But this is my third team. That was my second team. I think both of us put together a solid, very solid 3 lists of all NBA basketball teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And that concludes this episode of the Celtics Talk Weekly. Guys, next week we're going to have that playoff preview. Obviously, this will be coming out on Wednesday, so the Sixers game will have happened. We got another back-to-back, so we'll be live on post-game following the Wednesday game when you're listening to this, hopefully. Thank you so much for joining in and listening in. I'm Rob, and my co-host Justin next to me. If you're listening to us, then there's no next to me. But, guys, thank you so much again, and until next time, go Seas.